Functional foods and beverages have become one of the most important parts of the CPG industry. And I'm going to give you guys my top 5 predictions for the functional food and beverage industry in 2020. But before I break down my predictions for 2020, I want to kind of recap 2019 to see how I did. The first trend that I believed was going to be prevalent in 2019 in the functional food and beverage industry was around gut health. Logic here was that as science learns more about the microorganisms that live in the digestive tracts of humans and how that relates to health overall, it would provide a ton of opportunity for food and beverage CPG brands to commercialize some of those findings. How did I do on this one, guys? This one was correct. You definitely saw gut health being a huge driver of functional food and beverage. And to be completely honest, this mega trend is only scratching the surface for what it's going to be in the future. Second prediction that I had for the functional food and beverage space in 2019 was around CBD. And this is kind of a layup. I talked about this in another video, but I couldn't create videos last year without talking about CBD. So it was kind of this catch-22. Logic was that it is a sensory ingredient. We're still obviously learning about the ingredient within a food and beverage application, mostly because it's not technically legal when we're taping this video. But how did I do on this one, guys? I was definitely right. This was a layup. I'm not want to pat myself on the back here. The only way that this was not going to be a major trend in functional food and beverage was that if something catastrophic happened from a health perspective or some type of regulatory threat or movement. And though you might not have seen any breakthroughs to kind of help those and kind of further put gasoline on the fire of CBD, you definitely didn't see anything extremely adverse that slowed down this trend. And just like gut health prediction before, this is just scratching the surface for what we're going to see in the future. Third prediction that I had for the functional food and beverage industry for 2019 was that I believed sugar was going to be demonized. Logic on this one was mostly around like new labeling requirements that were going to happen and food and beverage brands needing to break out the added sugar side of sugar. And I thought that was just going to bring a lot more light to sugar in general and people were going to really hate on sugar. How did I do on this one, guys? I was right. I won't give myself like a completely right answer on this one because I think that the reason why sugar was demonized this year was not necessarily because of the labeling. I think the labeling thing is still kind of happening and maybe that didn't draw as much of attention as I thought. I mean, it definitely has, but I don't think at the level that I thought it was going to be. I think that like demonization of everything, polar opposites and people taking counter arguments is just kind of happening across everything in this world today. It has nothing to do with fruit and beverage. So some people love sugar, some people hate sugar, some people love meat, some people hate meat. But it seems like everywhere you turn in life today, somebody's either on one side of the coin or the other. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of people in the middle anymore. Fourth trend that I talked about in that video from last year was around kind of this idea of like extreme diet trends, creating a ton of opportunities in the space. Guys, remember a previous video, I kind of talked about this one as well, that this was a prediction that I thought was going to be not only in food and beverage, but also in the nutritional supplement space. Logic on here was kind of what I should have used on the previous one, that I thought balanced diets were phasing out, unfortunately, and people were really trying to attach themselves to a specific kind of extreme protocol. And what I'm talking about here with like nutrition protocols is around like keto or plant-based or paleo or, slew of other ones that have come out. How did I do on this one? Again, correct on this one, I think, because you saw an explosion of food and beverage items that were specialized and targeted towards these kind of extreme diet protocols. Like I kind of mentioned in the last explanation, extremes in life seem to be the trend right now. People really love to get passionate about one side of the coin or another, and that has played a big part in the functional food and beverage space. The fifth and final one that I had in last year's was around convenience, that being a very big driving trend in functional food and beverage. Logic for me here is that the economy is good, people are busier than ever, and snacking, even if it is a little bit more expensive, is worth it in consumers' mind because they're able to kind of buy back time in a little bit of a sense there. So I thought you're going to see this widespread across across everything from functional food and beverages. How did I do on this one? Convenience is king. I was right on this one. Again, probably a layup in terms of what the trends were into 2019. I don't necessarily think it cooled off in any way. I think it exploded even more because we live in the world of snacking, and convenience is around every corner in life today. If we recap a scorecard real quick, I'm going to give myself a 4.9 out of 5. I'm not going to give myself a perfect score on here because I think that the sugar one was a little bit off based around the reasonings I gave. Sorry to interrupt the video, but what are you guys doing February 3rd through the 5th, 2020? If you guys are free and you're watching this video, odds are you're super interested in the Sports Nutrition Summit put on by Nutri-Ingredients USA. I'm going to be speaking at this event talking about influencers, but the programming spans from the hottest emerging and bleeding edge trends from both the commercial and the scientific side of the sports nutrition industry. The event takes place in beautiful San Diego, California, and is attended by some of the biggest companies in the world. The networking opportunity will be at an all-time high if you're looking to make the connections you need to advance your career or business in the sports nutrition industry. And Nutri-Ingredients USA has given me a 10% off coupon to give my audience a discount for those that are interested. Just head over to the website. That is the first link in the description. While you're registering and checking out, use the code JOSH10PROMO. I hope I will get to see some of you guys here in a couple weeks in San Diego. The momentum obviously was there from last year. I did pretty good at predicting some of those functional food and beverage trends of 2019, the big ones that I thought were going to happen. Like some of the other previous videos around trends, I'm going to not duplicate last year's, even though I think everything I talked about last year is still super applicable to this year. I don't think any of those trends go away, but what is the point of watching a video where I just kind of say ditto and I'm done with the video? That's no fun for anybody. So I'm going to try to add 5 more trends to last year's list. Hopefully give you guys a little bit of a peek in terms of what I see functional food and beverage, the space of functional food and beverages look like in 2020. The first prediction I have for 2020 in the functional food and beverage space is that I believe bold flavors bring functional, better for you CPG alive this year. So I think as a trend, this better for you functional trend that's happening in food and beverage CPG, I think as this matures, you bring more people into the market. Those people in the market try a bunch of new products. They get comfortable. They start to realize what they like and what they don't like. Eventually get to the point where they plateau on the things that they enjoy and they start to then lean towards discoverability again. And I think that this risk-taking and exploration with customers is going to be really towards interesting flavors, textures, and colors throughout this next year in terms of what they buy. I think kind of layups here is like kind of hot and spicy flavors. You're going to see a lot of like extreme sour flavors you're going to see as well. I think you're going to see some international expansions in terms of some of the flavors that you're going to start seeing applied to functional food and beverages, better for you options. I think you're going to start to see them paired initially with some relatable flavors, so some combo type flavors. I don't think you're going to see them just go like an aggressive shift. And if brands do that, I think they're going to have to realize this is something that's going to take some trial. They're going to have to dump some money into trialing the product or just being patient with those flavors to get some velocity after people start to get comfortable with those interesting international flavors. So I think, kind of combinations coming from Latin America, Africa being such an emerging kind of area right now of influence, and kind of the continuation of Asian flavors. But like I said, I think you're going to see those in kind of snacking, convenient type categories first, be also kind of comboed with some relatable flavors. And I think finally, just kind of a first prediction, dot A, kind of a subsection. I think that you're also going to see, some interesting textures, some interesting flavors being utilized for their color purposes as well to create vibrant colors with some food and beverage items. I think all those things are going to just be kind of bonus. You make it more interesting, make it more fun, get people to realize that the old health food that you used to eat or the perception of the old health food before is no longer there. Second prediction that I have for the functional food and beverage industry for 2020 is going to be moving towards alcohol. And alcohol is one that I don't talk all that much about in my channel, but I think that the category, the beverage category of alcohol, moves and joins the functional, better for you CPG party. I think everywhere you turn, consumers are swapping out conventional products that they have bought forever for more functional or better for you CPG food and beverage items. So my logic is like, why not alcohol? I think you're already starting to see some of that. I think the first domino that dropped, at least large mainstream domino that dropped, is from the explosion of White Claw. And I don't want to get into the debate if it's actually healthier or not, or if there's any functional benefit to it. It is just the catalyst for what I think this trend is going to happen in 2020. I think for the seltzer category, I think you're going to see a ton of people jumping into that seltzer category and try to knock off the White Claw effect. I don't think that's the good strategy to go. I think you're going to see them kind of move towards more of a healthier, better for you side with lower alcohol content, sugar-free type of flavors, and get them closer to like maybe a water, and maybe add some different elements for hydration and things like that. Additionally, I think you're going to see a lot more of these like running beers is what they're kind of called, moving from more craft brewers into the mainstream. You're going to see kind of lower alcohol content created in a way that adds some functionality, even if it is an alcoholic beverage that maybe you drink after you're done and socializing with your CrossFit friends or after a 5K that you ran. I think a lot of those trends around socializing with fitness plays well within this trend. And then finally, I think that hard kombucha and a number of other kind of hard type functional beverages start to become more of a trend. I don't think that slows down. I think you're starting to just see that on the bleeding edge. When I'm at Expo West this year, I think I'm going to probably have to taste a few dozen of these. So I definitely think all of that rolled up is going to create trend in 2020 for alcohol to really join the functional, better for you, non-alcoholic beverage trends. Third prediction I have in 2020 for the functional food and beverage industry is that this idea of CBD everything turns into CBD brand development, plus a similar cycle starts to happen with other cannabinoids. So I have to ask, because I'm starting to see a bunch of crazy products start to get launched around CBD. Is there really any need or usefulness around CBD pillows? Yes, guys, that is a real thing. Look it up. CBD pomade for your hair, CBD toothpicks, and CBD lube. Yes, that kind of lube. And maybe somebody deep into the CBD world needs to educate me on the importance of those products, but I find them pretty comical and not needed into the market. That is, to me, the definition of this CBD everywhere kind of trend that happened last year. I think that only can go so far with consumer frenzy. Eventually, people start to realize those products are not all that useful. I think you're going to see a ton more competition, definitely rush into the CBD space. I don't think we're anywhere close enough for the end of that to happen, but you're going to start to see brands really mature in their strategies, start to build out their brands properly away from just this commodity ingredient for whatever reason. That was first phase of entrepreneurs that really just leaned on, oh, we have CBD and all of a sudden you should pay me a lot of money for that product. That is going to totally get wiped out over this next year. And you're going to start to see these winners and losers, the gap start to extend, and the ones that are really good at building a brand and really understanding the storytelling and really building around more of an intent of use proposition, I think those ones are going to start to win. You're going to start to see those things. And when the big money starts to come into the space, maybe by the end of this year, maybe next year in 2021, you're going to see them further accelerate this gap, this spread between winners and losers, between the ones that are just throwing CBD in everything and the ones that are actually building proper brands. When that starts to happen, when you start seeing acquisitions and investments and a ton of other things for CPG portfolios, that will really show you guys what I'm talking about with this trend. But good news is, for anybody that is one of those kind of lazy entrepreneurs that just want to throw commodity ingredient and everything, you're in luck, because there's going to be some new cannabinoids that are going to start to get some maybe legalization or be allowable for sale in food and beverage items. You know, what they say is when you miss one good opportunity, another one's right around the corner. The fourth functional food and beverage trend prediction that I have for 2020 is that flexitarian functional products emerge. And you guys have heard flexitarianism, powerful trend that flexitarians are creating. But what I'm talking about here is that I think that there's going to be products, honestly, that kind of take this flexitarian approach, the yin and yang approach here. And why I believe this is going to happen is that I started to really think about this when Tyson Foods launched Raised and Rooted. If you guys don't know Raised and Rooted, it's honestly a combination of animal products, so meat, be that chicken or beef, and they're adding that with plant-based ingredients. It might seem weird, but to me, it has a ton of potential. And since that happened, you're seeing a ton of other companies start to jump into this space. So I'd like to tell everybody that we are going to be in this blended meat movement. This is going to happen. It's starting to happen, especially if they can get the flavors dialed in. There are some benefits of using some plant-based ingredients in terms of getting a better tasting product. So why other kind of established, maybe struggling animal-based product categories, maybe they'll jump on this trend as well. I don't know fully how far this could extend out, but I think that the natural extension past just the actual meat of the animal and that kind of blended meat movement would be kind of a blended dairy type of options that you're going to start seeing in the market. So maybe some oat or almond / regular milk would start to come out. I don't really know fully like a actual drinking milk would be played out, but I think you're going to start to see those maybe in some other like butters and creams and things like that, that could be positioned in a way that maybe has some functional benefits to the plant-based ingredients that are utilized, or just kind of in a better for you application, cutting down maybe on some fats or saturated fats or whatever it is that they're going to try to put on package for marketing to get people to buy it. And then the last trend prediction that I have for the functional food and beverage space is this idea that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. There's been this kind of movement where less is more, and that kind of mantra is kind of moving in all different directions with consumers right now. And I think that you're starting to see that play out in food and beverage, functional food and beverage. Consumers still want more. I think that's just human nature, is to always want for more and grab for more. I think you're going to start seeing this in the form of more of the simplicity side. So maybe dialing down the ingredients that are in functional food and beverages, better for you items, really kind of cleaning that all up, but using very high quality ingredients that have a ton of intent and thought behind them that could be positioned in a very strong storytelling way for these CPG brands. I think you're going to start seeing consumers be willing to pay a premium for products aligned with their needs and that are thoughtfully crafted towards a lot of these niche categories. I think you're going to see the niche categories fall first. I think that's easiest because those that buy niche categories, especially ones that are kind of first adopters of a lot of that, they're willing to pay more. I think you're going to see those kind of fall into place. And then as those hit more of the established CPG categories in food and beverage, or subcategories of food and beverage CPG, I think then you start to see this trend really start moving. But I think there's going to be just this simplicity that you're going to start seeing with product development over the next year. And I think that simplicity is going to also lead to better storytelling, which will lead to a more premium price point. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, my predictions around 2020's trends in the functional food and beverage space. If you guys have some trends that maybe I didn't talk about, both from my recap of 2019 and 2020, please comment down below on this video or any of the shared social media posts on this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.